you can get your cat to come when called. So the basic things that you're gonna need for this are treats and a cat who just walked away. Some other extra things that you might want or need is a clicker. This is just a basic standard clicker. Some of them do come a little bit more simple. Something else that you could use if you don't have a clicker is like a ballpoint pen. Just clicking that works as well. You don't have to have a clicker in order to do this, but if you want to progress the training a little bit farther, a clicker might come in handy later on. And I do find that my cat does seem to respond a little bit better with the clicker. But what I'm going to be using today is this stick clicker. It has a click on the end. It's literally called a click stick, and then it has a pointer. In the end, I want her to touch her nose to the end of this pin. So I'm just going to give you a couple of steps, and then I'm also going to show you how it will transfer to outside if you do want to take your cat outside as well. Whenever I do first, I'm actually not going to use this stick at all, but I'm going to transfer into how I'm using it and how it can be beneficial for you. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step, if you are going to be clicker training, is you want to charge the clicker. Now, what I mean by charge the clicker, I want you to associate with your cat that the click means treat. So I want you to take just a little bit, or however long you think that it might feel, and all I want you to do is I want you to click and treat, and that's all that I want you to do. I do this sometimes before at the beginning of trainings, just to reiterate, hey, if I click, then that means you're gonna get a treat afterwards. And that's just what charging the clicker means. And it is important so that the cat knows that, hey, once I hear that, that means I did a good job, and that means I'm gonna be getting a treat. So I am gonna just charge that clicker just a couple more times. All right, so that is step one, and step two is basically you're gonna do the same thing, except you're gonna add your cat's name to it. So her name is Sushi. So I'm just gonna say Sushi, click, and then treat. And you want it to be pretty quick, so you wanna say the cat's name, click, treat, pretty quickly. And we haven't gotten anywhere far away or anything like that. I do highly recommend to try to keep your cat's name as short as possible. So if your cat has a really long name, maybe use a nickname for her, for trying to get her to come when called. Sushi. So I'm just gonna do this a few times. So she is already pretty trained in this. So obviously if I was just starting out, I would do this more. Maybe I would just have this part be maybe a week or 2 weeks, Sushi, and then start going on to the next step. So that's going to be step two. The third step is going to be, you're going to try to get a little bit of distance. You're going to want to start a little bit shorter than usual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a treat and I'm going to toss it away from me a little bit, and she's going to go and grab that treat, and when she's in it, I'm going to call her name, Sushi. And whenever she comes, she's going to get a little treat. And then as you get progressing more, you're going to be able to throw that treat a little bit more. So I'm going to throw it some more. She's going to go grab it. And I'm going to just give her a minute to let her eat. Sushi! Sometimes it takes her a minute. So as you noticed during that pause, she did take a minute and just looked around for a little bit, got a little bit distracted, but I didn't call her name again. And you don't want to just keep calling her name and saying, Sushi, 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 because then she's actually going to get used to the fact that she can ignore me before coming up. And I don't want her to do that. So I'm going to keep doing this a couple of times. And this is exactly how I started her out. Sushi! And even though she is already pretty well trained in this decently, I do still sometimes just go back to these 3 basic steps every once in a while, just to elaborate on those 3 a little bit better. Sushi! So what I'm doing is once I start throwing the treat out and having her come back, I have my finger down on the floor where I want her to be at. And that's kind of her like signal, like, hey, like your hand is where I want you to be. And that's kind of introducing the fact of spot training. And so now later on, I'm gonna go and walk through different parts of my room, and I'm gonna point, I'm gonna be like, hey, this is where I want you to be at. So it's not just her coming to me, it's her going to a specific point that I want her to be at. And that's gonna help me later on. Because I got this, I'm actually gonna use this for a little bit more of a target training rather than with my finger. So I'm going to do that just a little bit. So this is going to be probably step 4. And this is going to be where you don't throw a treat out and back, or maybe you do, but you move your hand towards different places around your body. So she's not just coming straight to you. Maybe you want her to come over here to your side, or maybe to your other side. And that's going to transfer that whenever you call her later and you're sitting at a chair and she comes over and you want her to be on your lap or on the desk that you're sitting at. And then you're going to be able to treat her. And I'm going to use this, but also, again, as I said, your finger would work perfectly fine. Sushi. And once her nose touches that target, I'm going to be clicking and treating her. Sushi. There you go. So that's all of the floor steps. There's about 4 steps with that, and I'm just going to go over those again. You're going to charge the clicker first, just click and treat, and then you're going to slowly start just working her name to it, saying the cat's name, click, treat, and then start throwing treats out. You probably don't want to start throwing them out super far away yet, and then asking her to come, calling her name again, and then once she comes back, you click and you treat, and then the farther you get, the better you are. So once you finish with that, the next step is going to be having her go to different areas around your body whenever she comes back in order to start target training for her for the next step 5, which I'm about to show you. So step 5 is going to be where you don't throw the treat and get her to come back. Generally, I like to start her up on that, but I do try to switch it around for her. And I basically am just going to call her name with wherever she's at right now and ask her to go up there. And then once I get her up there, I'm going to treat her. And then I'm going to go to a different area and also call her name. Sushi. 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 Girl. She sometimes is not the fastest responder, especially outside. But as long as she's starting to come near me, or she'll meow at me whenever she's like, all right, I hear ya. So that is the 5th step. The next step that I think is really important is to then not have specific training times when you do this. So just have some treats that you take with you when you go and watch a movie and have her go explore. And as she's exploring, call her name and see if she comes back to you. If she does, give her a treat. And that for me is really important because I found out that she knows exactly when training time is. So she comes pretty much every single time during training. I think she's getting full because she did find some treats that I left and ate a whole bunch of them earlier today. Little naughty kitty. So I'm gonna not treat her anymore until we go outside, because outside I do want her to respond to me. So that is basically everything for inside of how you train your cat to come when called. And then the next step would be to take it outside. Now outside you have to be a little bit more patient because honestly, you basically have to repeat every single one of your steps inside that you do outside because it's a whole new area. She's going to be exploring a whole lot. So I started sitting down. I started just treating her like, hey, you know, I have treats. And then I threw the treats, had her come back to me. And now, luckily, she is starting to respond to me whenever I just ask her to come wherever I may be sitting and wherever she may be at. Sometimes it's a little rocky. She sometimes does not always come. Kind of just depends on what distractions there are. And then she is a cat. So there are times when she chooses like, hey, like, listen, I don't want to come. So that is obviously some things that I'm still working on with her. She does know it fairly well, but she obviously has some growing to do with it as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and take her outside and show you kind of what I mean by that. So we are outside now, and we just got her here, so I'm gonna let her kind of roam around for a little bit. As I said, I do trust her to not go out of this area, mostly because I think she's a little bit too scared. And also she does come when called generally, but I do have a little leash for her if I do feel the need that I need to put it on her. She feels like she's getting a little bit more adventurous. And then a little bit, I'm gonna start trying to actually train her, but I do let her just roam around for a little bit beforehand, get her to know all the new smells and everything that are out here. Wait, there's no water in there. Sushi! What a good girl. So that's all that I do when she's out here. She doesn't like being picked up out here or being restrained, and I don't want to do that when I'm trying to get her to come up to me. So she just comes up here, I click, I treat, and I let her go back off on her little merry way and go and explore. It's basically what I'm trying to get to be more of like a, hey, every once in a while I want you to check in with me, and then I'm gonna let you go explore some more. Sushi! Good girl. Yeah, so I just finished letting her kind of explore around, so I am going to start training. She seems to be a little bit more interested, which is great. Might actually get some good training in with her. Sushi, come on. Girl. Recently. I know. You only ignored me a little bit. Sushi! I'm getting tired. As I said, you're going to want to start inside and then move her outside and then repeat those steps. And this is something that you're always going to constantly be working on. She does best whenever I train her first a little bit inside before bringing her outside, just like, hey, this is just a reminder. You need to come when you're calling. And then kind of just repeat all of those steps outside. Outside is going to be a little bit rougher. It is going to be rougher than inside. There's a lot more distractions, but it is definitely great. I find that my kitten responds a lot better with training than toys. It just tires her out a lot more. Obviously, I do play with her as well, but that's kind of just why I've decided to train her, because it gets her working mentally and it tires her out better. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am planning on doing another video next week just on outside training and just kind of an update of how she is doing outside. And yeah, have a great day, you guys.